So I got a question. We got to ask this. Kawhi, aren't you happy, Kawhi? Let's talk about that. Here, coming up in just a minute. All right, so NBA rumors. Gotta love it, right? Gotta love all the craziness that's going around. And especially with these great playoffs. Well, we got more stories coming out of Los Angeles and in these playoff situations with the playoff team. Jamie, I don't know what you think about this, but super intriguing. So, as you all know, superstar forward Kawhi Leonard, the Claw, what it do, baby, Mr. the robot, whatever you want to call him. He didn't have a really good breakup when it came to San Antonio. He left the Spurs specifically because he did not trust the medical staff, especially when it came to that quad injury that he had that I personally feel like he's actually still injured with and is still dealing with. It's not your standard just, hurt. Well, there is a rumor now that Kawhi Leonard is also mad with another medical staff. It is the Los Angeles Clippers medical staff. And this is what Skip Bayless, I guess, said on FS1. I've been told by a very good source that the first issue became Kawhi was unhappy with the Clippers medical staff because he felt that they, early on, misdiagnosed and underplayed the extent of his knee injury. I was also told, as I told you from day one when this happened, he's gone. He's going to need some type of surgery. I'm not sure exactly what extent of it is, but he's going to need surgery, so he's out for the rest of the playoffs. So now that we have a story that Kawhi Leonard is not very happy with the medical staff with yet another team, we have to ask the question, Jimmy, is it fair or unfair to say that Kawhi Leonard will want out of Los Angeles?
I'm going to go with unfair for several reasons. The first of which is that it's Skip Bayless who is offering this information from one of his sources. And when it comes to, and I know he was a long-time reporter before he ever made it to television, but this is more Shams Charania, Chris Haynes, Adrian Wojnarowski territory. So I would give more credence to that as opposed to Skip Bayless, who's more of a TV personality.
Right.
So for that, that's one of the reasons why it makes me feel like this is unfair. I think it's also unfair because I don't think he wants to go anywhere because he's been given everything he wanted. He got to go to the place he wanted. He got the number 2 that he wanted, and they have, bent over backwards in order to make him happy because they saw how things ended up in San Antonio. So I think that he'll resign. I think that if this is coming out, I think part of it is he's using this as leverage because there are more things that he wants. So he wants to put the fear in Steve Ballmer that he's going to leave and that therefore Steve Ballmer will again continue to give him everything that he wants. And we obviously know that Kawhi Leonard can maybe have some strange requests in some strange ways because there may be a player on a team who's under contract for the next 5 years that Kawhi Leonard wants specifically. And he knows that if he doesn't have the leverage, he won't get this organization to do again what they did before. Obviously, it'd be harder to do now since they gave the draft for the next 50 years to the Oklahoma City Thunder in order to get Paul George in Los Angeles. So I don't see him leaving. I think that he's going to sign for the max. He is using this as leverage to get more of what he wants. And we can't trust Skip Bayless's reporting. He's somewhat emotional when it comes to Kawhi Leonard. He's a big fan of Kawhi Leonard. There's nothing wrong with that, but he takes up for him a lot. So I think that there's a bit of a Skip Bayless agenda in this. So for that reason, I can't fully trust the reporting that it's even accurate that he's even that unhappy with the medical staff of the Clippers. So I'm going to say it's unfair.
I'm with you on that. I get your point. I'm opposite, though. I think it's fair to say that Kawhi Leonard's going to want out. I'm going to also say that it would make zero sense for him to want out of Los Angeles with the Clippers. He needs to stay there. His owner is an eccentric billionaire. I say that because he just spent like $2 billion of his own money to fund the arena and the development around said arena. This is out of his pocket. He didn't take public funding because Ballmer is, probably worth about
he's
70,
that guy.
80, 90, whatever billions. The dude worked at Microsoft.
Every time you turn your Xbox on, he makes another $1 million.
Exactly. That may be true, may not be true, but whatevs. It's there. So he's got a guy that's got the money to get any and everything that he needs to make everything better. So if he needs him to spend more money to get him a better medical staff, he can. Now, this is the issue that I see it fair that Kawhi is going to potentially want out. Like I said, I think it's stupid, but I can see him wanting to want out. Everybody's downplaying his injuries. The one thing about professional athletes we know is that professional athletes play through any and everything. They find a way to get on the court, the field, or whatever. It's rare you find a player that's like, nah, I'm injured, out, I hurt my fingernail, I'm out, besides baseball players. And that's mainly because they're in the sun nonstop. So I get you find an excuse and you're playing 145 billion games. But basketball and football, you have to find an excuse to get on. You always want to be on there, even hurt or not, because you want that elusive championship. Mm-hmm. Kawhi has two, but he wants to be able to get this team there as well. And so if he's not playing, he's truly hurt. And I pointed this out about that Raptors run. He looks hurt. Like he looks like he is laboring to get through every game. That leg is messed up.
He couldn't hardly walk after that game that they won when they won the championship.
Something is wrong with him, like in a bad way. Like I compare it to the Brandon Roy situation where he was gonna have degenerative knees, where his knees were just basically just disappearing. Everything was coming out, falling apart. I think that's something like that with his quad and his knee. Everything around that leg. And they're downplaying it. They're saying, nah, I don't think it's as bad. Or they can't find it. Which I get. If you can't find it, it's probably something weird. They got to stop doing that with that dude. You can't downplay him not being hurt just because you think that he just wants more time off. Now, at the same time, I mean, all the rumors were going around about how Kawhi Leonard lives in San Diego and drives up, which if I'm correct, is about an hour and a half, 2 hour drive. I've made the drive once before. Traffic, not traffic, I'm not sure. It just depends. Mm-hmm. I've made the drive from San Diego up to LA before, and it's a drive. It's not short. But he makes that drive, and he had a tendency of being late and all of that behavior, which I can say is warranted for the team to be concerned. Mm-hmm. At the same time, he's your star player, and your team is much better with him on the court than anybody else, and it's been proven. So you kind of got to play into whatever he's feeling and just let him do his thing. But if you start pushing back too hard, you're going to lose him. Mm-hmm. And he's probably going to go across the street. He's not going to leave California.
I would say, because I was hoping you would get there, I would say that he would want to go to a situation where he knows he can win a championship, where he to face the Brooklyn Nets at some point, and to where he doesn't have to be the number one. Because as his body is
falling apart,
yes, he's not going to be able to carry that. And that's what he was expected to do in LA. He probably doesn't like that responsibility because all the questions, all the criticism, it all comes to him first.
Yep.
Now, there was some people who put it on Paul George first because he played so poorly in the bubble and in certain parts of this postseason, but ultimately it comes down to him. So I could see that him doing maybe what he should have done in the very beginning, which is to join AD and LeBron. Or another good place that I think could be for him is Miami with Jimmy Butler and Bam Adebayo. I would love to see him there.
But he has to move cross country at that point.
True.
And you know that Pat Riley's not going to play the game of that injury stuff. No, that's not how that culture is. So I would struggle with him being in Miami only because of that. Mm-hmm. He could go back to Toronto because Toronto would give him everything. If there's any place that would be smart for him to go, is going back to Toronto.
But that's the same problem. You know, going from one part of the country to an actual different country, I guess. So if he wouldn't go to Miami, he wouldn't go to Toronto either.
No, I agree. I'm going to say he's going to stay in the state of California.
It would be pulling a Montrezl Harrell and giving two middle fingers to the Clippers by staying in the same building and just becoming a Laker.
Well, they're the same building for 2 more years.
So depending upon how they play this, you're right, that could become an option because he still gets essentially everything that he wants.
Yep. He gets to be in San Diego and he can drive up and do what he wants to
I'm not the number one anymore. This is LeBron's team. Anthony Davis is probably going to get more criticism than I do because I'm going to be more available than he typically is.
I don't really know if the criticism truly bothers him. I think with
Kawhi?
I think it's more because he didn't really talk, so it's not like you really hear much of him saying anything.
Right.
I believe it's more so the carrying the load, especially with the way his leg is bothering him. And to me, it's okay if a player says, "Hey, I know I'm great, but I'm falling apart. Kind of need a little bit of a break."
Okay. So you're his most trusted advisor, I believe, is his Uncle Dennis.
Yep.
Right. So let's say you're Uncle Dennis. He comes to you, and let's say this report is actually true, that he is unhappy with the Clippers medical staff because of how they handled his injury in the series before. And he wants to know what your opinion is as to whether or not he should look to sign elsewhere in free agency this offseason, opt out, then become a free agent, or if he should try to work things out and stay with the Clippers. So what would you, Uncle Dennis, advise him to do?
Stay your butt in LA with the Clippers. Your owner's a billionaire. He'll probably do any and everything you want him to do to make things happen. Start cleaning out that staff and start upgrading facilities. I mean, you're going to have all this great stuff in the next 2 years. The unfortunate thing is I don't know if his body's going to hold up for them to move in 2024 to the new arena,
right?
Where they'll have all these amenities. But get with ownership and be like, hey, man, we need to upgrade some stuff, man. You got money. You got effort money. You can burn money. You can literally put $1 billion on fire right now and be just fine and not even think about it twice. You need to start spending some of this money on facilities and stuff for us on the side so that we can get better. That's what I would do.
Right.
Personally.